Hi Marcela, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. What about you? How is everything going?
Great, great. Thank you. Working, as usual. How about yourself?
Fine, working a lot, every day a bit more, but it's worthwhile. I'm happy about this.
Cool. Marcela, do us a favor. Tell us who you are and what kind of work you're doing these days, please.
Okay, my name is Marcela Gomez. I am from Medellin, but I'm currently living in Bogota. I am the STEM coordinator at the Colombian Hebrew School, the Colegio Colombo Hebreo, and I am an educational consultant specialized on building learning communities.
Wow, that's a lot of information right there. So, what exactly do you do?
Well, shortly, what I do is to help people to create a community in which everyone is an influencer of learning. So each learning community can boost the society's transformation to something better. In my school, what I do is to coordinate the integration of all the curriculum with digital and non-digital technologies to create an environment for innovation, problem solving, and and solution design. That's what I do basically.
Wow. And what's your background, Marcela, if I may
I'm a
ask?
mechanical engineer with studies of specialization in project management, master in science and mathematics, with a diploma in STEM education, and another one in learning management and methodology, didactics, and evaluation of second language teaching and learning.
Well, as they would say here in Colombia, more prepared than a kumis. Congrats. Congrats. Lovely. Hey, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I know that these days everything is it's just odd. Uncertain would be the word that I would use. And but I'm sure we're all faithful, and that's important. Marcela, how has the last couple of months been for you in terms of personal challenges and at work?
These months have been tough, but more more as a member of a learning community than as an individual. I mean, I have been fortunate about learning in different environments. I have been working in an office, in a school, virtually, so it's not unfamiliar for me. But I'm part of a team in which everybody has a different kind of different sets of skills. So part of my job is to train people to get ready for these crisis times. And everything was just everything just suddenly happened, and we said, okay, we should get ready quickly. So these times have been tough because I've been in charge of training not only students but training parents, because they are going to be the auditors of the learning process instead of us. So we need to prepare them to see the tools we're going to use, the way students are going to work, what they need in case of any technical issue, or if there is any breakdown, because people is feeling vulnerable all the time. So trying to face all of these situations and have a solution for them has been a challenge for me and my team, all the heads of department, the heads of section, the principal, the general director of the school. It's been a lot of work, but fortunately it has been rewarding, because our students and their families have been able to see that they are all the time supported by the school. So they are feeling more comfortable. They are communicating properly to ask for help. Students are feeling respected in their times, but it wasn't easy. Creating this kind of safe environment to keep learning has been such a tough challenge.
Well, that sounds like a successful story in the making. Marcela, what kind of school is this school that you work with? What kind of community are we talking about? Is this a private or a public school?
I work for the Colombian Hebrew School, el Colegio Colombo Hebreo. It's one of the only three Jewish schools in Colombia, the only one in Bogota. So I work with the Jewish community. It's a small school. It's just 250 students, but the kind of bond among all the members is too strong that it really feels like a family. So for this community, this crisis times has been even tougher because they are used to share everything in the prayer, in the classes, the synagogues on Saturdays, in the different community activities. They have been all the time together, uh, and these crisis times have split them all. So they are staying at home, keeping safe because of course they want to be together again soon. And this has made even more urgent our work, more important our work, to make them feel even reunited in digital environments. Um, I could say that this is one of the most relevant things I've learned about this crisis. When you're part of a community, you look for the way to keep the community safe. And if you feel safe in a community, you attach even more to it. That is something that I consider remarkable about this school.
Very touching. Marcela, you were telling me about some of the hardest challenges that you face at school, but just as a matter of sharing with others, maybe strategies of mindsets of how to go about solving problems. Would you tell us how did you go about solving some of those hardest things that you've had to face, and how are you still working on them? That I'm sure you are.
Hmm. How could I say? Let me think. Uh, this times, for me, in a conversation with a friend 1 week ago, we were saying that this current situation has been some sort of catalyst for uh, for connecting us with ourselves, to remember what we have learned so far, and to place all this knowledge and all this wisdom in this current place. So we don't know that we know how to solve a problem until we have a problem and we have nothing around to help us. And it could be a very simple problem. So with my students, for example, we have been working on data analysis and pattern recognition, because in my classes we try to integrate digital and digital technologies, but everything around to represent something we need. And it was funny to find that in this pattern recognition, uh, I didn't want to use a simulator because it's very mainstream. So I said, no, I want my students to connect not only with knowledge, but with traditions and their families, because their families are their teachers nowadays. So we try to get back to board games. And one of my students sent me a beautiful picture saying, Marcela, I didn't know that Battleship was so funny. I want my dad playing this, and she took a picture, and she was applying everything we checked in class, we discussed, we talked about, only to have fun with her family. And parents said, I didn't expect that my child was learning something apparently unconnected from a curriculum, but through spending time with me. And it was like, when that made me think that when you want to solve a problem, you get a goal, you focus on it, and you check everything around as a valuable asset for it. So I could say that this is part of all the challenges that we have been rebuilding, rewinding as a guiding, learning team in our school. I don't know if this is a proper example, but I think it's one of the most important in the process we have in these 2 months.
knowledge, wisdom. Sharing is caring. It sounds to me.
Let me
Within the
think about
community.
something. Sorry, but I talked to some teachers yesterday in a conversation from Universidad del Norte, and something we noticed was that teachers feel that they are the only ones in charge of providing knowledge and resources. And these times are showing us that our students are as responsible as we are to create knowledge, but we don't trust them. These times help them to understand that they are influential enough to create knowledge with us and to understand what happens and to promote solutions to make a better future. We already know how the future is going to be, but these times are helping our students to understand that they have the power to do everything they need. They are now doing what they thought they cannot do without a teacher. They are doing it with us. Okay? So for me, when you talk about knowledge and wisdom, I want to add our students' knowledge too, our students' wisdom too. And it's this kind of knowledge and wisdom that comes from families, from backgrounds, from feelings, and the way they are processing all this situation in their lives. At the end, they are going to be the ones who are going to live the future.
It's all cultural. Just like memes, it's all cultural. Awesome. You know what? I love hearing things like this. Thank you for sharing so much, Marcela.
No, thank you.
Now, you were saying, and it all sounds to me like right now is time to create. I think it's more like time to start doing our own thing with the help of everyone, and also we can help others as well. Now, I'm wondering, do you teach your classes in Spanish or in English?
I teach some classes in Spanish, some of them in English, and I have been learning Hebrew actually because some of my students start speaking in Hebrew because Hebrew is one of the languages of our school. And I said, I don't want to be the only one who doesn't understand. Of course not. And I started learning. Let me show you. It's tough. It's very tough. But if my students can do it, I can do it too. Look, this is some of.
Now,
Did you know that you read Hebrew right to left and not left to right?
Right. I was going to ask you that. If you write and read from, wow.
This
So
was wow.
how hard is that?
My
How
brain-
difficult is that? Or is that, it must be a fascinating trip, a process to learn a different language like that. So ancient as well.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the doctor, it was Brodowski, I don't remember her last name, but in a conference she held about how language shapes the way we think. She was saying, in accordance with the language we master, we are going to perceive things because the way we build the words is depending on the on the structure we have been familiar, during our life. So if we learn a new language, we are trying to understand the other person in one way or another. So when you learn a different language, you're not only challenging to yourself, but you're trying to create a new bridge to communicate respectfully with a person who's thinking completely different, who's perceiving a completely different world.
Awesome. Marcela, I know you teach, or part of what you do has to do a lot with STEM, right?
Yep.
Would you tell us what STEM stands for and what it means, and why do you think it's important that not just at schools, I guess, but all of us as a society, we adapt some of the strategies and some of the ideas that we find in STEM. Would you please?
Sure. Look, STEM, the short version is STEM is the integration of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, but it's not just a combination. STEM it could be defined as an educational model or as an educational approach, not only as a methodology. This is, for me, it's one of the most terrible mistakes about STEM, because when you think about methodology, you only think about the how to learn, how to promote learning. When you think in an educational approach, you think on the what, the who, the why, and the what for as well. So you need to see you need to see deeply into the student, the teacher, and the context of learning. When you consider that and you know that they are going to be surrounded by different phenomena, and these phenomena are going to be affected by different factors, and these factors could be measured or perceived and compared through different instruments, and you can use them to recreate a different reality in which everything becomes better, you're integrating this kind of knowledge. You're using science to understand your surroundings, the world, from everything, which everything comes from. You use technology to apply the physical principles into the development of tools, and not only tools, but the best things to do other things. Engineering to perceive how to design a process, how to apply it, how to evaluate and improve the process to make something better. And mathematics as a language to communicate what you can see about the world. When you create this braid of fields in a more integrative, complex, and systemic way, you have a STEM environment. It's nice. It's not only robotics, it's not only programming. It's a way of being, it's a culture of learning, based on uh, strong disciplines, looking for innovation, but a human innovation.
Fascinating, fascinating. Staying human too. Huh? Awesome. Um, Now, there are a lot of people out there that when they hear someone like you speak, they may say, "Well, yeah, but good for you, because you know all these things and you have that lifestyle, if you could say that. It's a way of thinking, it's adapting a way of behaving and conducting yourself that includes a lot of discipline and autonomous learning, because it's all about you learning how to learn and how to solve problems, I guess, and how to work with other people. But back in the real world, no, I'm kidding, but here with if I'm talking to my friend, let's see, Wilson. I have a friend named Wilson. Now, if I'm talking to Wilson, and if Wilson were sitting here with me, he would say like, "What you talking about, Willis?" Now, I wrote a phrase here on my board, which is what you would see if I didn't have that filter in the back, because that's a Zoom filter. Really, it's not the office. It's just a filter. So so I wrote the phrase here on the board, and it says, when I talk to Marcela, remind me I need to ask her for dummies like myself. Would you give some advice for those of us who are not very techy on how to facing the singularity for dummies?
It's important to say that not all dummies are the same. But what I could tell you is with two things. The first one is, I don't remember the name of that movie in which Drew Barrymore lost her memory and Adam Sandler had to stay with her every day, like in the first day. Do you remember the first day they had and all that stuff? I forgot the name of the movie.
I think it was called First 50 Dates, and they relive the same day over and over again. But yeah, that's a very good movie.
Uh, Sometimes I say that in these specific times, it's better not to count the days, because if you start counting the days, you're going to feel completely overwhelmed So it's better when you just uh, wake up and you try to live your day as best as possible. But when you go to sleep, just try to see what you have done in this day. Don't think about the next one, because if you try to do it, you're going to start measuring. You're going to start measuring what is going to happen in 2-3 days, and as we can see, we don't know when this is going to end. So I will try to live every day as a particular day, and when you are in this day, try to remember when you were a kid. When you were a kid, you just wanted to do two things. One was to enjoy what you had around. And the second one was to do something useful for you that made you feel proud of yourself. I have the example of my niece and my nephew. I have my niece Mariana is 7, and my nephew Martin is 3. And for me, they have been models of how to face with this crisis, because they are saying, we don't know what, they told me, Aunt Marcela, we don't know what is going to happen. So the only thing we can do is to live happy at home. And the only way to live happy at home is to enjoy every single thing we have around. I said, oh my God, they are right. We are surrounded by different things, and we just assume they are there. We don't care about what they mean, what they have, what they involve. We have them there. But when we look at them more deeply, we could see a possibility to learn something, to rebuild something, or just to perceive it differently. And it's tough when you feel that you need to be doing something always productive, and it's not necessary. We are not only productive organisms, we are human beings. And as human beings, we need to remember that we need to take care of every dimension of ourselves. So try to enjoy a bit as a kid, not only the same way, and try to wake up every day living a new day. You don't know what day it is, but it's a new day.
Wow, thank you, Marcela.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Awesome advice, awesome. And now, for in general,
Mhm.
for other educators, for colleagues out there, not just in STEM education or not just in ELT, or just for educators out there, even for the public sector schools, which we could talk about if you have time. What would be a general advice for educators out there?
Teachers, colleagues, please stop thinking that you are the only responsible for everything. Eh, every teacher is trying to do their best. I have found stories of elderly teachers who have been learning about how to master digital tools just because they want to keep their students engaged in the learning process. I have learned about other teachers who have no digital resources to work with, and what they are doing is to keep in touch with the radio station, maybe sending an audio message and making it viral to let students know that they are there, uh, just seeking for the best way to take care of them. So I said, my God, they are trying to do this, but they feel supported by a team. If you're feeling alone, please ask for help. Teacher, ask for help. And if you have no resources, let's use the ones that we know we have. An example we were talking about 3 days ago with another teacher, Professor Alejandro Espinal, was the creation of neighborhood networks, especially for vulnerable populations. We were talking about how to have different resources for students, not only digital but non-digital, and how to connect the different grocery stores or the delivery personnel, all these people, to help the schools connect with students who are not able to connect to the internet. How to be sure that, for example, the kids who are I forgot. The kids who are moving with different, I forgot the word in Spanish, in English, when you are sending something for one to do it for you. For example, I need to send a letter. I forgot the word. I want, no, yeah, but there is another word. Okay, but I'll take delivery. So not only delivery services, but the people who in the different neighborhoods is able to leave, to walk and do something, to do shopping and all this stuff. These people are connected with teachers just to collect the information, the resources they need, and give them to the people at home who cannot leave their houses. So teachers, you are part of a community. If you want your students to understand how to work in teams, we must work in teams, especially right now, and be the models for the students. So please don't get overwhelmed just because you want to. Please don't stress out this way, and try to be supported by someone else. Lots of people is eager to help, but we don't give them the chance to do it.
I think that's how young minds end up being exposed to real life problems in their own communities, and using the tools available, high tech, low tech, whatever. The main aim is to solve the problem. That's how they come up with solutions that impact and change the world. And that's why you see so many young people nowadays that are basically providing solutions that we all need in terms of our everyday life, not just in education, but everyday life. Yeah, thank you, Marcela. Now, going back a little bit, Marcela, you work at a public school. I know. Okay, awesome. But let me ask you something. Are you aware? Do you know what the public sector is doing? Do you have any friends that work in public schools? And what's your opinion? What's your what's
I have worked with public schools, and I have friends who work in public schools, and the situation they are facing is, wow. I could say I'm thankful because I feel fortunate. We had a possibility of arranging such a system to provide all what our students needed. But for example, my aunt, the aunt who was my teacher when I was in high school, in middle school and high school, she's working in a public school, and she told me, Marcela, we we don't have all the resources to work with our students. So what we are trying to do is to get close to the. She's one of the people who is creating some sort of repositories at the grocery stores, so students can go there and take what they need to work. They have like the repositories, the educational platforms. I think she's using it Modo, and she's using social media because something particular. Some students have no access to the internet. They cannot afford it, but it's easier to find a cell phone with access to social media. So some of them have it but cannot use it. They can only see WhatsApp and Facebook. So what she was doing was to take the school social media, Instagram, Facebook, and everything, and WhatsApp groups to communicate with students. Now, we found that teachers can make it, students can make it, but the most important problem they have is that parents are not ready for this challenge. So parents are feeling completely, they are exhausted and they are scared about failing because they are understanding that helping a student to learn is not just giving information and wait for him to absorb it. No, it's an it's a process of encouragement, feedback, assessment, improvement plans. It's not easy. So parents are feeling completely desperate. And now this makes that education goes away because now the problem is safety. Some parents can be just leaving their children because they are feeling overwhelmed, or can be aggressive, can be sometimes abusive. This is something that happens in the public schools. That's why I always repeat the word communities, because students are feeling alone in their own houses, and we are only thinking about how to provide resources when they need to feel safe. And if this happens even in private schools, imagine how this happens in public schools. The first thing we should, as teachers, every kind of teachers, should guarantee is that students are going to feel safe to learn. My advice for them would be try to look for 2-3 people close to a specific specific student, and motivate them, encourage them to feel to be some sort of not protectors, but some sort of angels, so student can feel supported by his or her community in these times. And then when this is something guaranteed, we can look for the way to get ready with resources to teach.
Thank you, Marcela. Thank you. Wow. Yeah, there's so much to do. Thank you for sharing. I think many out there are wondering, how to get going, because again, the differences are huge in what happens in private schools and what happens in public schools. All right, so finally, Marcela, would you give us your outlook on things to come? And what do you think when you sit out there having a cup of coffee, looking out that window in Bogota? You're not from Bogota, are you?
No, I'm from Medellin.
Actually, wow, how's that changed?
I'm trying to get used to the cold weather of Bogota. I can make it.
I can make it.
Indeed. I always have my cup of coffee because I really need it.
All right, so fine, like I was saying before, would you give us your outlook on things to come? What do you think we're going to be looking in terms of, as a society, in the short or long-term future? What are your thoughts on that, Marcela, please?
I think that the world that is going to come after this COVID time is a world who is going to be seeking for feeling the others close, not producing. This is going to be something we can do. We can figure it out. But people is going to look for contact. Is going to look for eyesight, touching, feeling that the other person is there. Because nowadays we know that we assume that people is because we have a screen, but we cannot touch them. We cannot talk to them. We cannot express what we feel. So companies, schools, and different institutions are going to start thinking on how to make people feel safe and comfortable again, how to remember the way their body feels. They're going to start giving time to talk, to play, to touch the tree, to walk on the ground barefoot. I don't know. They are going to look for this experience. The experience is going to be looking for humanity again. So I think that our upcoming world is going to be more prepared to remember that spaces have a meaning. They are not only places to stay, but they are places to live something. So we will have the chance of working sometimes at home, sometimes from the office. But when you are at the office, it's because you're going to live an authentic experience of creation with your colleagues. Or if you're going to school, it's because you're going to construct something with your classmates. Otherwise, you can stay at home. If you don't feel okay, you're not going to have any problem because you can connect with your class. You can access to everything you need. But when you're coming to school, it's because you're going to take the best you can from the contact with your people. And I think that we are going to rebuild the conception we have about ourselves as social individuals and feedback individuals. We are going to understand how much we can learn from ourselves and how much we need others to learn as well.
Well, it seems like we're going to be very, very good at human-machine interaction while trying to stay human as much as possible. Like you said, I figure just the feel of the paper or the smell of a good book that you can sit somewhere and read it. Now it's going to be much more appreciated than before, because before it's like, yeah, I can read it in a screen, you know? Yeah, but now it's like, no, I got that real book in my hand, so
Yeah.
I hope that's a trend that will pick up. Now, also, you said something very, very important here, and just to finish and let you go, Marcela, and thank you again for your time, for being here with us.
I'm happy here. I love this invitation. I'm enjoying a lot.
Thank you so much, Marcela. Thank you. You mentioned social and feedback, and those are words that usually you're like, yeah, socialism, and this and that, and you can turn around and say, oh, that sounds like no, thank you. More individualism is better. No, that was like then. I think now social is something that's going to be in everybody's mind. It's just a natural thing. And you said feedback. Getting good feedback or in providing good feedback is going to be key for us going forward. I think it's most important for us to do things better. And like Patricia Colorado said in another conversation, she said we could do more, we could do less, but better. Yeah.
Yeah, I was remembering a conversation I had with a colleague, Professor Jorge Wincapié from UPB Medellin. We talked about feedback and feed forward. And we said that when we provide feedback is because we want to improve something we have done. And when we provide feed forward is because we want to set our creation into a specific purpose. So I think that becoming authentically social individuals after these times in which we have been digitally connected but separated is going to help us understand feedback as the possibility to boost our feed forward. So people is not going to say that improvement is just a way to waste time as it's conceived right now. Our students and their families are noticing that when you receive the possibility of improvement, you're really becoming a better human being. And when you're a better human being, the way you're going to walk through the path of your life is going to be more effective because everything is going to have a purpose. So I hope that when we are coming back to the material world out there, every of our steps is made with purpose. I think this is going to happen, and I hope this is going to happen.
Me too. I hope so. Marcela, thanks again.
Thank you.
I hope I see you soon. Stay safe.
Hope you enjoyed this as much as I did.
Thank you. Keep learning. I know you are every day. Keep learning and keep sharing, because as I said before, I think sharing is caring. I do believe in that.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and hope to have the chance of being here again.
Bye, Marcela. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.